8 wars ended in a single year? President Trump says so, but the maps tell a very different story. President Trump has repeatedly claimed he solved 8 wars in 2025. But let's see what the map actually shows. From Southeast Asia to the Middle East, we trace each conflict. What changed, what remains fragile, and what continues to simmer. In July 2025, Cambodia and Thailand experienced the heaviest border fighting in decades. A U.S.-mediated ceasefire was signed on July 28th, but on December 9th, Thai airstrikes targeted Cambodian positions. Despite the ceremony, the violence resumed and the conflict continues. On December 4th, leaders from the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda signed a peace and economic partnership deal at a Washington ceremony. The agreement promises investments in minerals, energy, and tourism. However, the main rebel group, M23, was not part of the deal and continues to operate in eastern Congo. Local fighting persists and military forces have yet to withdraw. The agreement represents economic progress, but the war itself has not truly ended. The dispute over the Nile Dam between Egypt and Ethiopia continued. In 2025, no shots were fired, no troops mobilized, and no armed clashes occurred. While tensions remain, this was a political standoff rather than an active war. Tensions and protests persisted in Serbia and Kosovo, but no armed conflict occurred. Claiming a war was solved here conflates political tension with actual combat. In Gaza, an October truce ended over 2 years of intense fighting. Hamas returned all living hostages and remains were repatriated. After the truce, more than 738 Israeli airstrikes have been documented, resulting in at least 410 Palestinian deaths. The ceasefire remains in force on paper, but violations are frequent. In June 2025, a 12-day missile confrontation occurred between Israel and Iran. A U.S.-backed ceasefire followed, and no major violations have been recorded since. Hostilities have largely ceased, making this one of the few cases where fighting truly stopped. In May, India and Pakistan exchanged artillery and air fire for 4 days before reaching a ceasefire on May 10th. Flights and trade resumed along the border. While tensions remain, the active fighting has subsided. In August, Armenia and Azerbaijan signed a framework agreement at the White House. No comprehensive peace treaty exists, and low-level border incidents continue. The conflict eased, but it is far from fully resolved. Across the 8 conflicts, some saw ceasefires or partial peace, some were political disputes rather than active wars, and several remain unresolved or volatile. Claiming that all 8 wars were solved oversimplifies a complex